Morning, Josh.
Hey, good morning, Sam. How you doing?
Voice is sore. Didn't get much sleep. Probably gonna let you and Barry drive.
Yeah, maybe just cancel it. It's New Year's Day. Happy New Year's. I just came on to say Happy New Year's.
Yeah, cool.
All right. Let me know. Yeah, if Barry comes on and he wants to talk to someone, but I'm gonna just say Happy New Year's.
There's Heiner and Barry. Hey, Barry. Hey, Heiner.
Good morning. How's your throat today? Hi, Heiner.
Still not completely back. So I'm mostly gonna let you and Josh and Heiner drive.
Okay.
I'm gonna make you co-host.
Okay.
Plus, I'm gonna go visit my daughter later today as well. So I'm gonna
Okay.
leave early.
Yeah. We won't see Sam Chan today because his power's out. I don't know if you saw that message or not. Looks like you haven't seen that message.
No, I did not.
Yeah, he posted in the Messenger Collaborology Messenger group. I just
I
checked.
just woke up like 12 seconds ago.
Okay, well, yeah, he has a power outage, and so he thinks that he's not going to be able to connect today.
Mhm. Well, goodbye 2022. Huh?
Yep. Here we are in 2023 and a little bit shy of power. Although it's mild here, we were having 50-degree daytime temperatures here for like 3-4 days in a row.
Here also.
Yeah. I imagine Stacy will come on today. I know she's online. Seen some traffic from her on Facebook just within the last few minutes. Looks like Heiner got a haircut for New Year's.
I don't know.
How are you? Happy New Year.
Looks like the old team, and I hope you nicely made it.
Connectivity is a little choppy there, Heiner. In fact, at the moment you're frozen.
It's getting worse. I will relocate, leave my kitchen and go into the studio.
All right, yeah.
But at the moment, I was still having my salad after having eaten before. Well, you know, it's my time.
Your time to do what?
Eat and talk to you.
Oh, okay. Well, bon appetit. And bon tete-a-tete. Frozen again. We may have to revert back to text chat if our high bandwidth video connectivity is so erratic. send off a note to Stacy to see if she wants to join us. Stacy says, no, I don't think I will connect to today's session, just relaxing. She was up late last night, so we won't see Stacy today. Heiner, about a month ago, I gave a presentation on a Zoom call to a local technical group on my research on emotions and learning. It was a 90-minute session, and it was recorded because it was on Zoom and uploaded to YouTube. And if you or anybody that you know is of interested
Please
in
send
it,
it to me. I'll
yeah,
have a look.
Yeah,
Because
do you want me to send it in email or on Messenger or?
or
in
just
the
send
chat?
it here and I open it immediately.
All right, let me get that for you. Oh, I got to see, where did I put it? I think it's here. All right, let's see. So first I put into the chat the YouTube link.
Mm-hmm.
Make sure that I have that correct. Yep, there it is. Click. And then supplement that with the link to the material that I actually presented so that you can open that independently alongside the video if you want to.
Mm-hmm.
That's the first time I've given a live presentation to an audience in quite some time. That is the full scope of it, not just snippets. And it was it generated some pretty good discussion in that group.
Yes, I'm very eager. I will have a look.
Okay. And again, like I say, if you have other correspondents who you think would be interested, feel free to pass it along.
Well, maybe just ask a question. Have you come across John Vervaeke and Gilchrist, both philosophers and cognitive science people?
John Vervaeke and what was the other
Ian
name?
McGilchrist.
Ian McGilchrist. The second name sounds vaguely familiar, like I may have seen it, but I certainly haven't had any exchanges with either of them. I don't think I've even read anything that I can recall from either of them.
No, John Vervaeke is in Toronto, and he's really an outstanding guy who studied many disciplines. And Ian McGilchrist is a psychiatrist, psychology, cultural studies guy in Scotland.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I certainly haven't had any direct observation of them in recent memory.
Well, what I will do, I will send you immediately per email here the conversation with them both.
Mhm.
And then you can see they both started really extensive podcasts. And I was really, really happy and surprised that I found them.
Are these podcasts on YouTube or audio podcasts or?
Look in your email. I think there should be the answer.
All right. Well,
maybe you have a conversation with John. He's really open and wide and extraordinary in some respects.
okay. Yeah, I'm not recognizing any of those thumbnails as anything that I've seen, but I've got the 3 links to YouTube or whatever they're links to. So we'll take a look at
Okay,
them.
and I have now cognition, effect, and learning.
Yeah, so that's both the name of the subject and the name of the video recorded video session on YouTube.
Very nice, very, very nice.
Yeah.
So I see I missed a lot not being around for long.
Yeah. That group that I gave the presentation to, they meet for an hour and a half every Wednesday on YouTube. They also are local, so they used to meet in person at the community center, but in the wake of lockdown, practically everybody has gone to Zoom. They actually did a hybrid. They had half of the people on Zoom and half of them went to the meeting room in person. But I gave it on Zoom, so there wasn't any advantage to going to the meeting room in person.
Well,
In fact,
there are some pros and cons for meeting eye in eye and face to face.
Yeah, the thing is, if the presentation is the way I did it, where you're talking over a share screen,
Hmm.
then there really isn't any great advantage to being in person.
No, you meet after.
Well, except after 90 minutes, people want to go home. They're sort of, yeah. I mean, sometimes, yeah, you do have lunch or something with people, but maybe not so much these days.
I'm looking at the list of content of the role of emotions and learning.
Hmm.
And I think you did your masterpiece.
This is my opus magnus. Is that the right phrase? Magnum
Yes.
opus. How do you say magnum opus? In the last
We
part
say
of my,
opus magnum.
yeah. So in terms of the final piece of technical work in my career, this is my magnum opus. I did some work much earlier in my career, which is much more dated and much more narrowly aimed at a much narrower audience. But this, I think, is going to be of broader interest than anything else I've done. But it is
Yeah.
technical. I mean, the meat is mathematical, so that does limit the audience. But there's the narrative that goes with it. That's if you have an audience that doesn't wrap their brain around the math, the narrative is digestible. Although you sort of have to take it on faith, because it's like believing a theorem because you can't understand the proof.
Mm-hmm.
So, but at least at least the math is there.
I have already sent it to Jörg and Nicole,
Okay.
and maybe we talk about this in a larger group. And also together with this John and this Ian. But these are really big shots, and
Yeah.
we are just the small potatoes.
Yeah. I presume they're much younger too, because
No, they are both older.
Are they already in their 80s?
Well, no. This John is about to go on to pension now, so I think he is early 60s.
Yeah, well, that's like 20 years younger than me.
And
Or 15.
Ian might be mine age, or 10 years older.
Yeah. See, I turned
So
78 this
he
month.
might get close to your age.
Yeah, I'm turning 78 in 3 weeks.
Hmm.
So one of my concerns is that if I'm not around to discuss this with people, then it's going to be much harder for people to pick it up after I'm not available.
That's why I recommend you to see how this John Barbecue in Toronto is doing it.
Okay.
I think he really had 30 years to really put all his work together,
Mhm.
from Buddhism to science, I mean, to all fields.
Yeah.
And he's really working with youth, with indigenous, and really brings, speaking very clear, brings a few issues together.
Good
So
for
I
him.
really would love to meet him one day in Toronto.
Yeah, cool. Yeah, one of the groups that I participate in, they only meet once a month.
Hmm.
Is a science and theology discussion group. They're a bunch of scientists and engineers and whatever who also happen to be members of a local Christian church, and so they
Hmm.
discuss the interface between science and theology once a month, which is a pretty small discipline. There's definitely a Venn diagram overlap, but it's it's kind of smallish.
Yes, I understand. But I was so sorry that I was not with you the last couple of weeks or months even. And I was very happy to really hear about at least you three that you keep on trucking, even when there are only few people around.
Yeah, I mean, here on these Saturday, Sunday sessions, Sam and I, well, Sam has to be here because he starts it. And I'm here. I don't think I've missed any sessions. Joshua usually shows up more than half the time. Stacy shows up about half the time. Kayla usually tunes in to say hello relatively briefly most times. And that really, oh, there's this new guy, Sam Chan, who has just started, but he's got a power outage where he lives, so he's not here today. So, you know, sometimes we have as many as 5 or 6 people on, but most of the time it's 3 or 4.
Well, it's extraordinary.
Yeah. But, you know, Sam wanted to, at least on Sundays, to dive in more deeply on subjects where you have to really put on your thinking cap. Saturday still tends to be kind of a check-in style, you know, shooting the breeze.
Well, that you do it twice a week is already something very extraordinary.
Yeah, but I mean, you know, Jerry Mikulski also has a session on Thursday mornings, but I haven't been able to attend that because I have a conflict with another group that meets overlapping. But because it was a holiday week, I was able to attend his session this last Thursday, and Doug Breitbart was there, who I haven't seen. And well, see, Doug goes to Jerry's check-in, his Thursday check-ins every week. And I would too, except that I've got a conflicting activity that prevents me from attending.
And what is this Thursday meeting about?
So you do know who Jerry Mikulski is, right?
No, not really.
Okay, so Jerry Mikulski is an American chap who has organized lots of gatherings of very bright people. I won't say expressly systems thinking, but sort of high level thinking, kind of the kind of stuff that you and I engage in. He used to organize these annual in-person gatherings, and I don't know if I don't think he does that anymore. He used to do it with Esther Dyson.
Yes, sure.
The daughter of the famous physicist. Anyhow, he used to do it with Esther Dyson. Now he just sort of does it on his own. He's got this thing called the Brain, which is the piece of software for building a integrated knowledge base. And so every Thursday, he has more than one kind of session. The Thursday session, he calls it a check-in because it doesn't really have an agenda. They just sort of talk about, you know, current topics of interest. And they meet, let me think, they start at 11 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, which you would have to add 5 hours for you, I think, or 6 hours for you.
No, is it the time like we are meeting now at 11?
Yeah, same time.
So it's the same time here. Can you send his name or his LinkedIn profile? Because it looks interesting. And if I have the link, he's meeting in Zoom?
Yeah, he meets in Zoom. First of all, I lost it. There's the chat. Okay. Let's see, I'm gonna close that one. So put his name in, Jerry Mikulski, to spell his name right. And his group is called Open Global Mind. That's his current name of it. OGM for short. And let's see, I got to go back and find, where do I find the YouTube link for it? Let's see if I know where to find that.
I'm just getting a phone call from Farah,
but I
just mute myself.
Okay. Give me a chance to go find that link.
Hi, Barry. Hi, Barry.
Hang on a second, Heiner, I'm on the phone with my brother. I'll be right back.
Okay, no hurry, no hurry.
Okay, I'll be back. Okay, I'm off the phone in case anybody's still in attendance here. There's my brother calling to say Happy New Year's. Ugh. Don't know if Joshua's listening, but Happy New Year to you, Joshua, if you're listening.
Hey, Barry, I'm listening. Just half awake.
Yeah,
Happy New Year's.
yeah. Heiner signed off and Sam turned off his camera, so I think we're just sitting here.
Yeah, you can turn it off. I don't think you need to. I didn't even think. I just stayed on just in case someone, other people came on. But
Well, Heiner actually didn't disconnect, but he turned off his camera and he turned off his audio. So he's technically connected and Sam's connected, but Stacy's not coming. I don't know if you heard, Stacy decided to not come today. She wants to relax today. So, and I doubt Kayla will show up. It's already past the first hour. So it may be that there's nobody here except us birds or what is the
well,
cliche?
it's New Year's Day, Barry.
I know everybody's watching the parades or the bowl games or whatever they're doing.
Yeah, it's a big holiday.
Yeah, yeah. And tomorrow is a holiday still because Sunday is people don't get their day off from work if it's Sunday. So
Mm-hmm.
tomorrow will be a state and federal holiday also.
Yep. How you feeling? Did you have a good night with the puzzles yesterday?
Yeah, so the fondue, that this friends of mine do fondue on New Year's Eve. And so that was a feast. And then after that, we tinkered around with the jigsaw puzzle, but didn't finish it before I left. So they had some company over there I had never met before. So some new people to schmooze with over New Year's Eve fondue.
Is it cheese or chocolate fondue?
They did the full thing. So the appetizer was cheese with pieces of bread, and then the main course was meat with shrimp, chicken, and beef. And then for dessert, which was an hour or two later, it was chocolate with dessert tea stuff.
Wow, that sounds nice.
So what are you talking about? 5 different fondue combinations.
Oh, that's serious. They're not messing around.
Yeah, plus a nice salad that went with it and some beverages. So yeah, it was I haven't done fondue. They don't always, at least I hadn't been to their house for New Year's for quite a few years. So this was the first time back for New Year's with them. But yeah, fondue's, I mean, you're gonna do fondue, you really want a pretty good sized crew because it's a lot of overhead for just a small number of people.
Yeah.
So there were 10 of us all together, 5 of them and the 4 guests and me. So that was 10 people.
Yeah, the only time my friend used to run a wine bar, like, one of those tasting places.
Yeah.
And so they would always have fondue, like you could get fondue plates with the.
Well, it's like a buffet, but a little bit less. I think a buffet is much more complicated than fondue if it's gonna go on for multiple hours.
I don't know. I'm lactose intolerant.
Oh, the 2 of the people there, 2 of the adults there had that issue, and Ross Picard said she had discovered this something, it's a long technical name, that you take for about a month. You take two doses a day for, I think, 2 weeks, and 1 dose a day for 2 weeks. And what it is, it's something that's in your stomach that causes your body to resume the production of lactase. So after about a month, your body is now producing lactase on its own, and then you can start consuming lactose foods. And you don't have to use lactate or some other fakey thing. This is
Gotcha. No, I don't. I'm Asian, so we don't. If you ever eat Asian food, you don't need cheese.
oh well. The thing is,
Uh,
I thought cheese by definition had already been the lactose had already been digested by the cheese making process. I think I could be wrong about that. I think cheese is okay for lactose intolerant. It's
I
just
guess what I'm trying to say is I just chose not to just to take it
oh,
out of my diet. Not that I can't have it. I
yeah.
just didn't.
Well, you can't have ice cream either, though. See, if you're lactose intolerant, you can't even have ice cream.
You can. You just get
And
diarrhea.
well, that's the point.
Yeah.
So if you want to be able to eat ice cream and other things like that, that have lactose in them, then there's this other system that my friend mentioned.
Yeah. I just think of it kind of like Taco Bell. You're gonna get sick, but you just eat.
Yeah, I wouldn't go to Taco Bell.
I mean, so there's times when you go there and you go, you know what, that tasted really good, and then you
Yeah,
get sick.
yeah. I tend to get sick if I overeat. A couple of times
Yeah.
when I go out to dinner with people and there's just twice as much food as I would normally eat in one sitting, and I can't my stomach can't digest it because it's not prepared to digest that volume of food in one digestive cycle, and just
Yeah.
lays there undigested all night long, and finally you got to get it out of your system.
That's the worst.
Yeah, the bad way. So
But it sounds lovely though. I love like tapas, like appetizers, like the idea of fondue of just, a couple flavors here,
yeah,
little bits here, a little bit there.
yeah. So anyway, so that was kind of nice. Fondue on New Year's Eve, and this bit of
Did they do
socializing.
the fireworks in Boston on New Year's?
I think they do, but since I was indoors and not paying attention to anything on the internet or on the television, I don't know for sure. They have something called First Night. I guess you know about First Night, right?
Yeah.
Except it
Well, I
was rain.
remember it.
Except it was kind of rainy last night. I don't know how much it rained downtown or how long
Yeah.
it rained, but it was rainy. One thing about it is, at my age, I do not like to drive at night, and I do not like to drive in the rain, and I do not like to drive at night in the rain. And the other problem is that Route 128, which is 4 lanes wide, they don't bother to keep the lane lines, bright and shiny so they reflect. And so on a rainy night, it's really hard to see the lane lines on Route 128, which is another reason why I don't like to drive at night in the rain.
Yeah. Did you have to go far last night, or?
No, it's about a 30-minute drive down 128 just from Bedford to Newton. So it's not that far. It's about 15 minutes, I think, on 128, and the rest of it is on the off-roads, side roads.
Okay.
But I may get to the point where I simply refuse to drive at night, at least if it's rainy, because it's just the visibility is so poor between the not very bright headlights on my car and my aging vision, and the fact that they don't bother to paint the lane lines very bright.
Yeah.
Sometimes I feel a little scary, like, you get these patches, like, where the hell's the damn lane line?
I was on the freeway, I think it was a few weeks ago, and we had a big rainstorm. The lines disappeared. There was
Yeah.
no more lines. They were
That-
gone.
Yeah, and that may be effect that somehow or other, between the wetness of the rain on the surface and the fog, because it's raining, it's also a little foggy, that you basically just lose the reflectivity of the lane lights. Also, the lower you are in your car to the ground, the more difficult it is to see. If you're in a vehicle that's got a very high position of the driver's seat, so you're looking, down, I think you can see the reflections a lot better than if you're in a low slung car where you're where your eye line is relatively low to the ground. Then it's even worse, I think. I had them re-aim my headlights so they're aimed as down as you can make them in front of the car and still be legal, so that at least I can see the lane lines right in front of me. Then I drive a little slower, but at least I can see the damn lane lines better.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I just may give up.
Yeah. I just went into the middle of I think we all did. Everyone on the freeway. We just went to the middle lane, somewhere that felt like the middle,
Yeah,
and just slowed down. And we all just went like 40 miles an hour.
yeah. Well, yeah, I was noticing that a lot of the time, even when there's no traffic around me to worry about, I was still going like about 50 miles an hour on 128, just to feel like
Yeah, they drive about 80 to 85 on the freeway here in California.
that's ridiculous. And there were people speeding past me, probably 70 miles an hour, but they got to be very young people with very acute vision or some other ability to see better than I can.
Or just they don't care.
Well, the other thing is that I haven't had cataract surgery yet, and I may be getting to the point where I need cataract surgery. That may make a difference too.
Yeah.
But I can see fine in the daytime. That's not a problem. So as long as there's illumination, I can see. It's just that it's very poor illumination on a rainy night.
Or is there a way to get brighter lights on your car?
Well, I've been thinking about. See, I just acquired a new used car because my old 25-year-old car was on its last legs and had become unsafe to drive. Steering had gone wonky on it, and so since I've only driven this new used car twice at night in the rain. And one of the things about these newer models is they have these plastic headlight lenses that kind of fog up. They don't fog up, they cloud up. I think you should say they cloud up. Because the old car, I think they had glass lenses and they didn't cloud up. So the two issues are, is it the cloudy of the plastic lenses? Is it the bulbs are not the brightest ones you can get for that model? Is it my cataracts? Is it that their lane lines are not well painted? There's all these, I don't know which factor is the dominant one, but I may try to polish up the plastic headlight lenses and see if that does me any good. I really wish they did.
Start with the things you can control, like the brightness of the light.
Well, I have to find out whether or not there's more than one intensity of bulb available for that model, because at this point I don't know if there's only one standard bulb. I know that in some cars, maybe they have filament bulbs and maybe they have LEDs, and whether there's more than one intensity.
Yeah, you could just get a bunch of high-powered flashlights and stick it on the roof.
Well, I was thinking that if you had, some trucks, have those roof-mounted racks so that you illuminate from a very high up.
Yeah, the fog lights. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, fog lights are very low down. That's different.
Well, I mean, whatever it's called on the top of a truck,
Yeah.
where you have extra lights.
Yeah. So the lights at the top, I don't know what they're called, but of course you normally put them on a truck, not on a car. But the alternative is simply to cut down nighttime driving when it's no.
That would be interesting if you got your lighting situation great. You're driving fantastic. Every car goes by you, gets blinded, and flies off the road.
Well, that's the other thing. You see, when another car is in the adjacent lane, I'm looking to see if their headlight illumination in their lane looks any better than mine. And for a few cars, they are, but most cars, their illumination isn't any better than my illumination.
Yeah.
You can barely see the lane lines in there, in front of their headlights.
I don't know. I saw there's all these new, like, so many lumen flashlights.
Yeah.
That you can
Well, the LED flashlights are pretty bright for the amount of battery power they consume.
Yeah.
Because they're not filaments, they're LEDs, so they don't have to be heated up to, I don't know, 800 degrees or whatever the temperature.
I'm just saying, you could look like a UFO come down the road. You could blast it out as far.
I don't want to blind people. In fact, when I had my headlights aimed lower, just so that I could see directly in front of me, then I typically drive with my brights on. And I found out that even if I turn my brights on, it really isn't much brighter than, what used to be with my old car, my normal headlight illumination. And then nobody ever flashed me from, having my brights on. It used to be always I would dim the brights if there was a car in front of me or if it's a car coming, the other way.
What car do you have?
This is a 2012 Honda Civic. Well, I don't know the rest of the model number, but this is a 4-door sedan. Honda Civic, 2012 Honda Civic 4-door sedan.
Okay.
Might be an LX. I don't really know what the
Civic
subsequent-
4-door sedan. Sorry, I think my internet cut out for a sec.
Yeah, Civic 4-door sedan 2012.
Okay.
And for the first time in a long time, it's an automatic. My last 2 cars were stick shift, so this was an automatic. Drives very nice, except for the fact that, you know, the headlight illumination is subpar by my reckoning.
Well, I'm sure you're the tinkerer you are. You'll figure out a light situation.
Well, I have to do. I either have to do some research or go. I mean, I did go back to the guy who sold to me, and I said my headlights were aimed so high that they were illuminating the overhead signs, but they weren't illuminating the road. So he aimed them down, you know, as much as you could and still be legal. But I think he aimed them down too far now.
Yeah, I think that's what happened.
But,
That makes perfect sense.
and the thing is that I think I know how to do the aiming myself. I think I found, you know, exactly where you put the screwdriver or the wrench. I have to see if I have the right tool to do it. I might simply adjust them a little bit myself. But I think I have to polish up those plastic lenses. He said, you know, those plastic lenses, they cloud up after about 6 months or a year. And, you know, if you try to keep polishing them, you got to do it twice a year, typically.
Yeah, I've seen that it does make a difference.
Well, that's the other. So the thing is that you're supposed to do it in relatively moderate temperatures. And although today it's 50 degrees, I could have done it today. I don't have the kit. And I think by the time I buy the kit, it's going to be back down to be too cold to do it.
Yep.
So I'll have to wait.
Well, I wish you luck on that endeavor. I'm going to try to get moving on this morning. So
All righty. Well, nice chatting with you. Sorry if I bored you to tears with that.
no, you didn't bore me at all. As I hope Heiner, I guess he's off. I was gonna say Happy New Year to Heiner, but if
I don't know if he's listening. I mean, he turned off his camera and he muted his mic, so I can't tell if he's in attendance to listen or not. But I think if he is, he would turn his mic back on.
I'm pretty sure he's not. I'm just checking in. I'm
he's
saying,
not-
well,
yeah.
yeah. If you hear me, Heiner, I'm saying Happy New Year's.
He says take care and bye in the chat, but he didn't actually disconnect. So
Okay.
I don't really know what bye in the chat means if he didn't disconnect. Maybe he meant to disconnect and didn't.
You've known Heiner long enough to know.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, there's always these. I mean, everybody our age gets to the point where we say one thing and do another, not realizing it.
No, I think he's doing several things that ever since I've known Heiner, he's doing at least 5 to 10 things at once.
Yeah, exactly.
And then he does absolutely nothing. He'll just go walk in the woods.
Yeah. Well, this is the first time he's been on in several months, I think.
Yeah, that's what I was.
And were you listening when I was chatting with him earlier?
A little bit.
Yeah. So anyway, Happy New Year.
Happy New Year's, Barry.
Happy New Year to Casella too. And
I'll tell her.
I guess I is not yet old enough to appreciate a spoken greeting yet. Maybe
I don't know. She had a brain explosion yesterday, like a
really?
literal, just like everything. Like I was drawing on a piece of paper
Oh.
and she recognized what I was drawing. So
Okay, well, if she knows who I am, say hello. If not, we'll delay until.
I'll tell her hello. I'm sure she'll figure it out because she knows my nieces. I showed her a picture and she said their names.
All right.
So yeah, I'll tell her hello and then yeah, give her about 2-3 weeks. I think she's going to be reading and writing, and I don't know what's going on. It's kind of scary.
Well, when she's doing advanced math, I'll be very interested.
I don't know if she's into the math. She's got the letters. She's more into the letters than the numbers, but she's also not even 17 months old. So, or no, what is she? She's 19 months old.
And so she's coming, yeah, I think after about 2 years, they do, don't they start to talk around that time?
Yeah, I mean, everything's all relative, like
Yeah.
she's talking, but we just don't know what the hell she's saying.
Yeah, it's gibberish or whatever you call the baby talk.
Yeah, I mean, she knows what she's saying. She's very clear about it.
Yeah, but
She's
you
like,
don't
cook.
know.
And I'm like, what do you want? And then she's like, I want to cook. I don't want you to cook for me. I will cook. Thank you. Move aside, daddy. I got this. So,
Well,
but
I
it's,
guess she can probably, maybe butter a slice of bread or a cracker or something.
oh no, she could. I gave her a plastic knife. She chops the vegetables and the potatoes and
Oh,
stuff.
really? Oh,
Yeah, I
so
let
she
her
really
cook the
does prepare the
pasta.
food. She calls that
A little,
cooking.
I mean, she just hacks at it and then I throw it into the pot.
I see. Okay.
But she's getting better. She really uses that knife like she's, starting to learn to cut the
Yeah.
little plastic knife.
Well, don't give her a real one for a while yet.
No, just a little plastic one.
Yeah, that's good. That's
But it cuts potatoes. She can almost cut the tomatoes.
really. Is it a
Yeah.
serrated plastic knife? A serrated
Yeah,
one.
the ones you get at like a picnic thing where it's
Yeah,
not
right.
sharp enough to really cut.
Yeah, if they're serrated, they'll cut tomatoes.
Yeah, I mean, it'll cut a little bit like, I don't want, anyway, she more likes to watch this. She likes to stir and she likes to put the things in the pot.
Good. Yeah.
So.
Excellent.
Yeah, she got a slide yesterday. I think that's what exploded her brain. She, instead of going up the ladder and down the slide, she went the opposite way.
You're up the slide, down the ladder.
Yeah, she went up the slide, finally figured out to get to the top, then she had to figure out how to get down. So she went down the ladder.
No kidding. Wow, amazing.
Yeah, it was pretty, she took her socks off to do it too. She was pretty intense.
Well, one other thing I should mention, just in passing, Chrome OS Flex has been around for, I think, half a year. So I finally downloaded it, put it onto a thumb drive and booted off the thumb drive into a desktop Intel machine, and it works.
Oh yeah?
I haven't installed it because you need you have to install it on its own drive. You can't split a drive. At least I don't think you can split a drive between Windows, Linux, and Flex without potentially wrecking everything. So
it's a new type of Chrome OS. I never
yeah,
heard
it's basically a clone of Chrome OS, not exactly duplicate, but very close. And you can install it on a laptop, a desktop of sufficiently modern. First, it has to be 64-bit, which almost everything is these days, and some other minimum requirements. So I have at least one 64-bit machine that it won't run on. It's a really old one, but it ran fine on a gigabyte motherboard with 8 gigs of RAM, and just running off the thumb drive without actually a real installation. And so you need at least it's about a 7 gig install, so it'll fit on an 8 gig thumb drive or bigger. And then you can just boot out pretty much any 64-bit Intel-based machine, or ARM, I think even not ARM, AMD-based machine, and into Chrome OS. And then you log into if you log into your Google account, then you have all of your personalizations.
And what would you just for like an older laptop or something, or?
Yeah, so if you have now some of my older laptops are 32-bit, so that's it's got to be 64, and it's got to have at least, I think, 4 gigs of RAM, which is pretty reasonable for a 64-bit machine. And then you can install it on, I mean, they have this list of approved machines, by name, but they say that even if it's not on the list, give it a shot. Chances are it'll run okay on almost any 64-bit Intel-based architecture, and it's free.
Oh, that's interesting. Yeah,
the way you install it's pretty simple. You add an extension to Google Chrome. You add a Chrome OS recovery extension, which will then write a thumb drive with the Chrome OS recovery onto the thumb drive. And then you take that thumb drive and then you can just basically boot live off of it and just use it off that. So you need this Chrome OS extension, which is just a quick install. And then once you go to the extension, then it just says, you know, do you want it? Yeah. So it downloads the, you know, the package, and it says, you know, what thumb drive do you want to write it to? You tell which thumb drive to write it to, and you're done. Although it takes a while, it might take an hour or two, depending on how fast your download speed is and how fast your writing to a thumb drive is.
It's funny. I'm starting to realize that as time goes on, everyone seems to have these smartphones, and nobody's really using their laptops or desktops
Yeah.
anymore.
Well, it's a really nice thing to, I mean, if you have an old laptop that was sort of XP or Windows 7 vintage, and maybe too old, or
Well, I had a lot of stuff. I just all burnt up in the fire. So I don't have, I used to have, you know, a whole bunch of old equipment that would be fun, like an old MacBook and I had a bunch of old computers that would have been fun to put that on, but
yeah. See, I have a house full of old stuff. Unfortunately, a lot of the really old stuff is 32-bit.
yeah.
So this, you know, for a while, Neverware had a 32-bit version of Chrome OS Neverware, and I think you can still download it, but I don't know that it makes sense to try to put it on a 32-bit machine, although I guess I could if I wanted to, but I tried it out, and, you know, it was straightforward. I mean, it took about 4 hours altogether, because it has to download it, has to write it, then it has to verify that, you know, it has to read it 4 times. It has to verify the download, that's twice. Then it has to write it, then it has to read back and verify the write. And then you got to put it on another machine and load it. So you might spend, you know, a couple, 3 hours, you know, getting
Okay, so you got to download it to the zip drive from another computer, you're saying, and then put it up.
You need to be on a machine that runs Chrome, and I mean runs the Chrome browser, and that machine has to be able to write to a thumb drive, which almost all of them are. So you put in the extension, you download the Chrome OS recovery, Chrome OS Flex recovery, you write it out to a USB stick, and after about 2 hours or so, you're ready to plug it into another machine and boot.
Yeah, I think I just use Ubuntu.
Yeah, well, see, I've got Ubuntu and Windows 10 on this gigabyte motherboard, and I figured, well, why not try it out? The thumb drive actually uses a GUI, how do you say, GUID partitioning scheme with 12 partitions. And the way Chrome OS works is when it does an update, it installs the update in it creates a new partition for the update, puts the update in the new partition, and then when it's confirmed, it simply switches the partition to the new one away from the old one. So it's real. So it takes a long time, you know, to write a brand new partition, but then when it's all ready and confirmed, then it's instant switch to the update. But
that's great.
But it can use as many as 12. I mean, originally Neverware, I think, used as many as 24 partitions. I think OS Flex uses, I think, 12 partitions.
Why would you have this partition the hard drive so many times?
Because in order to segregate the updates, so everything that wants to be updated independently of everything else, anything that's a sort of a standalone update wants to write a brand new partition for that section, and then instantly swap the new one for the old one. So that uses at least 6 partitions, and maybe as many. I think it actually relies on 6 partitions and uses the other 6 to write the new version. So it uses as many as 12 because it wants to keep them, you know, straight, with the numbering system consistent.
Got it. So each partition is for a different update, so it can back.
Yeah. So so you can do a kernel root update or kernel, I don't know, whatever you want to call it, the application updates or whatever. But you got to be careful about trying to put other partitions on it for non-Chrome OS, because it might end up trashing them on you when it's doing an update.
Yeah, that would not be good.
Yeah. They recommend, putting it on its own drive, and not trying to dual boot. You can't, if you know what you're doing, you can dual boot, but they don't recommend it because it's easy to screw it up and bollocks your whole system.
Yeah.
See, what I would do is I would turn on the machine, hold down the key to select the boot drive from a alternate boot drive, and then boot into the Chrome OS Flex drive, from a manual power on.
So are you doing this to fix older machines so you give them more life, or are you doing it because you
Both.
just like the Chrome? Yeah.
Well, first of all, I wanted to test it out. I learned about it. I wanted to try it out. And then at some point, I may decide to go ahead and install it on an older laptop, as opposed to running Windows 10 or Linux or something on it. I may just, at some point, want to make a permanent installation on some piece of hardware.
Gotcha.
Right now, I'm just playing with it.
No, I think it's fun. I mean, there's so many extensions on Chrome. It's amazing. The ecosystem's huge.
And by the way, you can install it if you want to permanently install it on a machine, you can install on a drive as small as 8 gigs. So if you have like laying around an old 20 gig drive or something, or even an 80 gig drive, that's more than enough to install Chrome OS Flex. It doesn't really need, it runs off of an 8 gig USB stick.
Yeah. I wonder what the smallest computer you could build with that operating system for the cheapest price. Like,
well, you can buy used laptops for next to nothing, as long as it's got, I think you would want maybe 4 gigs of RAM and a 64-bit CPU, and that's really about all you really need to.
oh, I meant physically smaller, like not
physically
cheaper.
smaller.
Yeah,
Well,
like a teeny tiny.
I think, I'm not sure if it runs on Raspberry Pi. I think it might run on Raspberry
Because they have
Pi.
64-bit Raspberry Pis, right? If you got
I
the
think so. I didn't really look into the Raspberry Pi option, but I think Raspberry Pi, does Raspberry Pi run on an Intel architecture?
I don't think so.
Is it an ARM architecture?
I would imagine. I don't know. I'm guessing.
Yeah, that's the thing. I haven't really attempted to do it on anything other than
I've actually never owned a Raspberry Pi, and I
no,
really
I don't own one
wanted
either.
to.
I've never owned one either.
I've held them in my hand at Fry's about 1,000,000 times, and I said, this would be fun to play with, and I just never bought it.
Yeah, well, I couldn't imagine the particular. The thing is, I have enough old conventional hardware laying around.
Exactly.
Module the need to put it on a 64-bit machine, unless I want to download an old version. Oh, I did try to put it into a VM. I tried to put it into VirtualBox, and I couldn't get it to work in VirtualBox. And the reason is because when you boot off the USB, theoretically you can boot off a USB in VirtualBox, but if you try to do it with Chrome OS Flex, it wants to write to the USB to configure it, and at least in VirtualBox on the Macintosh, that ended up unmounting the USB stick, physically unmounting.
Right.
And then
because it wrote over the mounting thing. Yeah.
Well, it didn't destroy the stick. It just ended up with the Macintosh unmounted it, and then Chrome OS couldn't remount it.
Right.
And so basically you got, a minute into the installation, and then you lost access to the drive. And I wanted to see if I could copy it to like a .vdi or .vdh, but I couldn't get that to work either. So I gave up.
Yeah, that'd be cool if the whole computer was the size of a USB stick.
Well, in essence, the whole operating system is on a stick. So the question is, what's the rest of the hardware besides the USB stick?
Well, something to run the
You
display.
need a display, you need a keyboard, you need a mouse, So the keyboard, the mouse, and the display, and well, I guess the speakers is no big deal. You need the hardware. So
Yeah,
whatever
I
whatever
guess
the smallest hardware is.
I think that's what I love about the idea of a Chromebook is it's not really my computer. It's just a connector to the cloud.
Exactly, exactly.
And
So it's a
that's
very minimalist hardware.
yeah, I think that's the way it should be. I think at least with most things, I'm not talking about specialized cases, but
Yeah.
90% of all users are just using the browser.
And you can download Debian Linux applications at will. So in addition to what's on the cloud, the applications that are on the cloud, you can go ahead and download anything you want off of the Debian repository and run the applications on your local machine.
What is a Debian repository? I didn't know that word.
Linux, it's just a species of Linux.
Oh, Linux. Okay.
Ubuntu and Debian. Ubuntu is a variant of Debian.
Okay, I don't know that word, but
Oh, it's just the name. I mean, you know the word, you know Ubuntu, right?
I only know Ubuntu because my cousin back in the day, like about 20 years ago or whenever it came out, he said, "Oh, your computer's not working. Hold on." He pulled out a USB stick, shoved it in there.
And
Next thing you know, yeah, booted Ubuntu,
right.
loaded it up, and then pulled out the USB stick and walked away. And I went, "What did you do?" He goes, "Oh, I just made your Linux machine." I went, "Oh, thanks. Cool. All right. Awesome."
It's also a nice way to do diagnostics. So if something goes haywire, either in your native operating system or your native hardware, if you can boot off a USB stick, you can boot into Ubuntu or other diagnostic stuff and fix things. So that's a nice way to diagnose what's haywire with your system.
Oh yeah, it's like a what they used to call that on Windows, this oh god, I don't even remember my days on
The
Windows.
recovery partition. Yeah, you can use it
when you would put safe mode. It reminds me of safe mode.
Yeah, well, there's safe mode and there's recovery partition, and this is in lieu of a recovery partition.
You know what's funny is I've been in the Apple world so long, I forget all these things. I haven't even thought about this since 2004.
Oh,
Like it's been almost 20 years where I think I went into safe mode maybe 3 times on a Mac.
yeah. I did that yesterday. I was playing around on an old G5 machine running Leopard OS 10.5.8, and there was a bug in one of the pieces of software. The Launch D had a well-known bug in it that they never fixed, and all this bug did was fill up your error messages with an error message for some feature that never worked. And it wasn't a problem other than the fact that it just kept writing your error log. So I thought, let me try to substitute the native Launch D with the one from Tiger, because I had Tiger also on that machine, which turned out to be a mistake. And then when I went to correct it, my machine wouldn't boot. It said there's something wrong with your machine. So then I booted it into not safe mode, but the mode where you can actually see the text of where it's logging in. And it reported that the version Launch D was corrupted. And once I saw that, I knew how to fix it. But so it's not safe mode, it's a verbose single user, not even single user mode, it's just verbose at the firmware level. I booted into the firmware level, and firmware reported the error message. So I fixed it. I was back in business, but so I have to live with this stupid Launch D. Every time you run a cron program, cron uses Launch D to launch whatever the cron D execution is, and the Launch D reports this error message, which is bogus, that it just fills up your error log. Anyway, I'm gibbering about nonsense. That's probably not.
Oh, that's okay. It's important to get it out of your head because you're doing that so many times with so many computers. You're trying to.
Well, it's nice because when other people have problems, you have enough experience with diagnostics and fixing things that you can bring machines back to serviceable use, where the average person would say, I can't afford to take it into a shop. They're going to charge me more than a new machine. I don't know how to do it myself. If I try to do it myself, I would make it even worse. So occasionally people will stop by with a laptop that won't boot or has some other glitch. And more often than not, I can sort it out for them in half an hour.
That's fantastic.
Yeah.
Yeah, I used to be that guy in the 90s with the
Yeah.
PCs, and then my friend Ramsden, he stayed being that guy. He does the #1 computer repair shop in Santa Barbara,
Uh,
at least according to Google. He's got like, he's brags about it, 1,800 good reviews on Google review or whatever.
yeah. The thing is, if you try to earn a living at it, you got to charge so damn much money to break even. And so, people who know
Well,
who
he
I
does.
am,
Yeah, he doesn't charge that much. Like, there's another guy in town that charges like 3 times the amount.
yeah, yeah. But I've had a
But
number of people, bring their equipment around for, a quick and dirty fix, and no, it doesn't cost them anything unless they have to replace a part like a memory chip or something.
well,
Or
I
battery.
remember there was a time when I was, you know, needed to have some extra services to make some money in my company. And people would say, I don't need a website, I don't need any software, but can you fix my computer? And
Right.
I
Yeah.
would say, well, technically, legally, no, I cannot, because I don't have a legal license, but I do have a illegal NT license. So I would just go to all these computers and install Windows NT, and it fixed every problem every time.
Yeah. Well, one of the things that people don't realize is if you have a Windows 7 machine,
Mhm.
even though they no longer advertise it, you can still upgrade for free to Windows 10 from Windows 7 without it.
Interesting. Yeah.
Yeah.
In
So
other words, I fucking hate Microsoft with a passion, Barry.
Yeah.
This is what I'm trying to tell you. Like, to the point where they took my life savings. I blame Microsoft for what they did to the people that created the Explorer browser.
uh-huh.
I have a lot of passion around what a douchebag that company is to put that into Windows 95. I don't like them. I don't like any part of, I mean, even though it's changed quite a bit the last 10, 15 years,
Yeah.
I still don't like them.
I'm not a big fan of Microsoft. I mean, I do I do keep a couple of Windows machines around because occasionally somebody wants to play a game on Steam or something where you have to be on a Windows machine to play it, because you can't play it on a Mac, or at least I can't play it on a Mac. But so I do have Windows machines around. I mean, yeah, Windows, and I've upgraded for free quite a lot of machines from 7 to 10 with perfectly legal license, even though it's unadvertised that they still support the upgrade.
Yeah. Well, I had fun tinkering back in the day. I remember that's the one thing I do miss about the Windows machines was they're always broken. They always suck. They're piece of shit. They never work with anyone. Everyone always has problems. And that was fun because fixing it, when you get it working, you're like, yes,
Yeah,
I love it. I did a good job.
I mean, I end up with, people retire their Windows 7, Windows 8 machines, and they give them to me and they say, please wipe this for me. You can keep it. And I end up putting Windows 10 on it or Linux. And now maybe
Well,
Chrome OS instead.
are there a bunch of places that need those computers? Like, I guess
Not
I'm
so much
sure there's.
anymore. I used to give them to back in the 90s when the schools didn't yet have a system in place. I would donate old computers. I'd put them back in service and give them to 1 or 2 teachers. But at some point, the schools got into the IT, system management, and then they no longer wanted odds and ends of random computers. They wanted everything to be a fleet that was maintained by the IT people for the whole school. But for the 90s, that was still, a useful thing to do, give them computers.
For sure. Well, I'm going to bid you adieu.
Okay.
Thank you, Barry. Thanks for holding down the fort this morning. I'm sure if like maybe Glenn, I haven't seen Glenn in a while. There's a lot of people I would love to see in the new year. So hopefully
I
we'll
saw
see
Glenn. Let me think now. No, I haven't seen Glenn. I saw Carl Heavenstrike, but I didn't see Glenn.
Oh yeah, I haven't talked to Carl in a while too. I should
Carl
probably
was
give him
on Jerry Mikulski's Thursday call. I saw him there.
Okay.
But I haven't seen. I think Carl sometimes comes to this session. Not very often.
Sometimes. No, not much.
All right.
Happy New Year's.
Happy New Year.
Cheers, Barry.
Yeah, bye-bye. Well, Sam, I don't know if you're listening or not, probably not. It's coming up on the end of the second hour. Heiner did not disconnect, even though he thought he was disconnecting. So I am going to, I don't think I did. You didn't make me. Let me just see what powers I have. I am a co-host, meaning that I cannot end the session, I don't believe. And I can't stop the recording, I don't believe. Let me just double check that. Nope. And recording, I don't think I can stop that either. Where is that at? There it is. Oh, I can stop the recording. Okay, didn't used to be able to do that. All right, I'm going to stop the recording and leave the session, and then it'll run until you close it, but you won't have to clip the recording. So stopping recording now.